So on this video we're going to replace the standard SSD that's in here, which is a 512 currently. Obviously if you buy them in the US, I think the Micro Center are offering this upgrade, but here in the UK you're just going to have to do these things yourself. Now inside is a 2242. What I'm going to do, because of the availability of 2242s in size, I'm actually going to add in a 2230. Now to do so I'm going to need a converter, which you can pick up, or the links will be in the description for pretty much everything that I use in here. Now some of the tools you will need, to be honest, the easiest thing to do is buy yourself one of these kits. They're usually classed as mobile phone repair kits. We are going to need the Philips #1, which if we look in, this is going to be these two up here. Certainly not a Posi, so make sure that you pick the Philips one. And stuff like the guitar picks, etc. are going to be really useful. So these kind of tools here that you'd use in a mobile phone, for example, are usually a very good way to make a start. Now the other stuff you will need is obviously your Legion Go, because you can't do that without. USB hub. Now I'm just using my JSOCKS dock from my Steam Deck because that'll absolutely work fine in this. However, there is some links for other docks I've used previously that would do exactly the same job. Now you can probably get around doing it without a dock. However, what you can do is obviously plug in a keyboard, like you probably see I've got a Logitech wireless dongle there, just to make some of this a little bit easier. Now the first thing will be to prepare the SSD. So let's just move this out of the way somewhat. Now as you can see, I've got a slightly smaller one. So I've gone for the 2230 over the 2242. The great thing is about these adapters, they can basically go from very different sizes, from as simple as 2230 all the way up to 2280. So there's quite a scope for modification. From my point, all I'm going to need to do is actually just break off a really simple part of it. So we actually look at the top there. You can see, let's just bring it into focus, you can see the different derivatives of size. So we've got the 42, 60 to 80, so that'll be a 60, a 30 to a 60, a 42 to an 80, etc. Now because all I'm doing is using here, what I'm going to do is just snap off that first bit there, and that's ready to go. So that's as simple as it is for this. Now all I need to do is turn or supply the screw that comes with this and fit the SSD to it. Now to do that, obviously you need to access the SSD itself. Drop that out and get the screw that came with the actual device itself. Now if it doesn't, these are usually M2, that's the clue. When they talk about M2 drives, they're usually actually referring to the screw size itself. So quite useful to use as a reference point. But all we're going to need to do is just basically attach it to there. So I'm going to use my Philips one that I've mentioned there. And all I'm going to do is line up this device inside there and then basically screw it on. And there we are, that's the conversion complete. So if you look what I've done, it's just a simple attachment there. I suppose you could take it out and mount it the other way, but to be honest, all it's going to do is raise it a little bit from the top, which is perfectly fine because that's how it will look on the other side. So we'll utilise one of these U-green style adapters, and you'll notice I've got a USB A one end and C the other. So all we need to do is pop this out and basically just install this. Now the good thing is with these, he's got these little rubber grommets in, so you can move them to help align the device. I'll be honest though, as soon as you slide this over, it's not going anywhere, so you can absolutely just deploy it. This way, and it shouldn't actually escape. So all we need to then do is plug in that end and then this end into my dock. You'll notice at the moment I haven't connected my dock to my Legion Go. That will be the next step. So from the point of actually using my dock, all I need to do is bring that over and connect that dock in. So the device is all connected, and basically what I'm going to do now is go and get the software I need. So the good thing is, just to confirm that the device is visible, you can see it can find a D. Can it find anything else? Let's just confirm that before we get too carried away. So let's have a look for computer management. Now, all being well, it should see another disk. And it can. I'm not going to actually do anything with this disk now, but you can see there is my 2 terabyte drive at the bottom there. So let's just cancel that for now. And we will navigate to where we need. So the good thing is with this is just basically we just need to register with Macrium software and then go ahead and download the Reflect Home Trial version 8 at the time I published this. Now you will have to download this obviously onto the Legion Go because that's where we're going to be doing this work. You will also need to make sure at this point you've most likely got your SSD connected, just so that it's ready. If you needed to do any prep work with it from computer management, it's a really good time to do it at this point. So you will register, you'll get a download link and code, etc. via your email. You will need that registration code to put in here. And you will also need to confirm your email address as part of that registration. Apart from that, you can pretty much click next, next, next all the way through. And then one of the things it will prompt you to do is, like I said, add in that registration information. Once that's done, we're in a good place. Now, obviously, this trial lasts 31 days. You could go and support Macrium and use this for a lot longer. It's completely up to you. It's a really good bit of software, actually. Very, very useful for cloning drives. If you're ever going from a Windows OS to a larger OS, it's actually a really good way to basically upgrade yourself. So once installed, it may prompt you to reboot. I didn't find the need to. Sometimes you might find you have to, just so it can find everything that's addressable. But basically then you get to select your user mode. Now, I'm not going to select light mode because I don't want my retinas burned. So I've got the nice dark mode available to me. Now at the very top, you can see all of those. We need to make sure we've selected all those permissions and collect partitions, and collect a clone disk. Then I'll need to select my disk, and just being careful that because I've got an SD card in there as well, and to copy partitions, but using the ability to extend or shrink. Now in this case, obviously what I want to be able to do is fit all of the drive and make all of the drive available. So you can see on the C there, I've now got an abundance of space. At this point, it's just a simple case of clicking next. You get the option to schedule. So if you want to wait even longer to do this, then feel free. If not, you can just basically click finish, and it'll ask you about setting up backup, saving logs, etc. It's up to you if you want to change any of these settings, but all I need to do is click go and it will crack on. Now at this point, what I would strongly suggest is that you go into your kitchen, fill up that kettle and get it on the boil, because this will take a fair bit of time. Now it depends on the read speeds of the device you've attached to and the writable speed, but I would strongly recommend you go and make yourself a nice cup of tea at this point. pretty much everything I expect to see, with a text document at the bottom there that says reflect install, which will just basically be the log files from what we carried out here. So not completely unusual. I can also see that I've got another drive in there, which is my Windows C drive, which looks pretty much identical to the naked eye very quickly. So we should be in a fairly good position to, at this point, make a decision to shut down the device. So let's do that. Now, one thing you will find when you're doing this is that you're very likely to knock the power button on the top of the Legion Go. I did it several times during this exercise, but what we need to do first is to actually remove the controllers. Now, I'd never done this previously prior to doing this video, but basically there are two little buttons at the bottom there. They work a little bit similarly to the way Nintendo Switch controllers work, but they actually come off quite seamlessly. You will have noticed probably when I was doing the review, if you've seen the review video for this by now, that I was particularly interested to make sure that the right controller didn't have excessive wobble. It's been reported by some users. You can solve some of that by just tightening screws, so there's something to be aware. Now, with this, I'm going to now eject that SSD that I need so that it's available. What we need to do is remove 6 screws from the back of the device, and they are just easily positioned around the edge here. Now, I actually found, even though I said it was a Phillips 1, in my kit, I actually needed a Phillips 00. So your mileage may vary depending upon the kit you've got, also depending upon how much tolerance you want to put into those screw sizes. So again, just be very careful. It's more likely you will strip them when reinserting them than actually removing them, just basically because of the amount of torque that you need to apply to these. These don't actually need to go in too far. You don't need to over tighten these. Once the clips sit in, it handles it pretty well. So let's just speed this up and get these screws done. Once the screws are all undone, what we need to do next is to look at removing the back. Now to do this, what we need to do is use a guitar pick. And again, the ones that came with this kit were plastic. I did have a few struggles with these, just actually getting that first purchase. So what I did is found I'd got a metal one that I got on a previous kit that I bought. It obviously got a little bit, well, I say metal, it's probably aluminium, but it got a little bit more purchase that would help do this. So it's actually just getting that first clip off is the most awkward part of this, and you can see I did turn the device on. Once it's in there, what I suggest is just leaving a guitar pick in somewhere, and then using the pry tool to just slowly go around. And this isn't a race, so take your time here where possible and just get this removed. Now, once you finally have the back off, again, you'll notice I managed to turn it on again. So let's get that turned off. And what we're looking for at the back here is where the M22242 is currently installed, is in this bottom right hand corner here. And you can see it's got this little sticky tape on and the battery connector in there. Now, when I first looked at this, I was a bit confused because I couldn't work out exactly how to remove that battery element there. I will say it's not as complicated as it looks. Basically, there's a bit of tape over the top there. And then you're best to just take, again, one of your plastic pry tools to just lever it ever so slightly out. Do it very slowly. And then remove the sticky tape again from the SSD. Now, you'll notice it got aluminium foil around this. This is designed, I'd imagine, to be a shield to prevent electronic interference. I will say, however, I've heard mixed reports of people having challenges where these are overheating with them reinstalled on new devices. So your mileage may vary, but I'm going to, in the very first instance, not install them and just monitor the SSD temps. Now, I'm hoping, because mine's a little bit smaller that I'm installing, that the heat may just dissipate into one particular area. So I'm going to have a look at how to go about doing that. Now, once this is out, put this to one side. I would not use this elsewhere at the moment, because let's be honest, if you do have a RMA event with your Legion Go, you're going to want to be able to return it with the original SSD. One of the big things that people found out with Steam Decks was that sending them back with anything but the original would mean you would lose that upgraded drive. So I'm just going to attach mine in now, and it's quite straightforward and as simple as that. And again, the great thing is with this M2, it was exactly the same screw size for this. So it's just a simple case of using that. So as long as you've got a magnetic driver, it's pretty simple to do. And just reinstall backing to the Legion Go. The final bits to do are to obviously not stick this down yet, as I'm showing you, but to actually install the cable. Now, this is actually slightly more awkward than it looks. Your best bet is to lay this down as flat as you possibly can, because what happens is the cable obviously tries to arch up. So what you need to be able to do is basically pull it back somewhat to enable the option to just give it a little bit of purchase in there to do what we want it to do. Now, once you've managed to finally get it in and reassert the tape, I strongly suggest, and you may see this on different YouTube videos, to just put the back on and get on with things. Having known what I know about electronics, one thing you don't want to be doing is necessarily doing that. So the first thing is to power it on and test. Now, don't be alarmed. It will take several moments to come on. I've obviously sped that part up, but I was sitting there almost worried and panicking for about 5 minutes that I'd bricked my Legion Go. You won't. It just takes a while because you've drained that battery. You've obviously taken off that static charge from the Legion. You've inserted a new SSD, so it takes a bit longer. The point that it does boot up, then obviously repeat the steps. Now to do that, clip it all down, nice and simple, and go and reinsert all the screws. So the final thing to do, and this is just more of a me thing, you don't have to do this, but I would strongly suggest at this point you take the opportunity just to remove the Macrium software, because you don't need it at this point anymore, unless you're going to do this again. Obviously your trial is going to expire in 30 days or so anyway, so there's no real need. You will see, however, that obviously we do have the full element of storage there. Bearing in mind, it will report as a 1.86 or something similar, just the way that bytes to bits to megabits work. So to remove it, one of the easiest ways to go about it is just to go to settings and apps. Many people know very different ways of doing it, but yeah, just go to your apps, install apps, find the software, and then just uninstall. And the good part is that you can basically remove all of the stuff that Reflect Home has installed at any point, and just basically then probably do a reboot. It's probably good practice at this point to do that. But fundamentally, that is all that's required to do it. As you can see, I have got a fully working 2 terabyte Legion Go now. There will be a review coming for this device. I will stick the link towards the end of this video when it is available. So yeah, please go and watch that. I will say, from one point, this was obviously a lot easier to do than the Steam Deck ever was. And it's just a really nice, simple way of getting yourself a really fast and more capacity device. So there we are. You know exactly what I'm going to say. If you have liked this video, please hit the like, subscribe, even maybe drop a comment in there. Not everything I would have done was perfect, but to be honest, compared to the way that you have to do this with the Steam Deck, it's probably a lot simpler process. Now, the good thing is I am going to drop a Legion Go review, and the bad news is for my Steam Deck, that's going to have to go. That doesn't mean I won't necessarily be picking up an OLED in the future, but I'll be honest, the Legion Go has probably far outweighed what I expected, and I will cover off in that review why I think some of the hate it's been getting is totally unproportionate. I'll see you next time.